Namaskar. Hello friends, I'm Advocate Anil Dupe, law practitioner at District and Session Court, Aurangabad, Maharashtra and Bombay High Court, Bench, Aurangabad. Now today we are discussing about what is the POCSO Act and how is it used. We just take a glance of that. The protection of children from sexual offences, it means POCSO Act, was enacted in 2012 and is a special law to protect children. The protection of children from sexual offences Act has been in the news recently after Bombay High Court Justice Pushpa Ganediwala's controversial judgment in child sexual abuse cases. Back in 2019, the POCSO Act garnered interest when an amendment was made to it when minimum punishment for aggravated as well as a penetrative sexual assault on children below 16 years was increased from 10 to 20 years, extendable to life imprisonment or death. But what makes the POCSO Act different from the Indian Penal Code? What offences does it cover and when is it applicable? Here is a simple explainer. Significance of the POCSO Act. The POCSO Act was enacted in 2012 and is gender neutral. It recognized that boys can be victims of sexual violence as well. It defines a child as someone under the age of 18. The Indian Penal Code does not recognize that sexual assault can be committed on boys. The Act also increased the scope of reporting sexual crimes against children. It expanded the definition of sexual assault to include non-penetrative sexual assault as well as aggravated penetrative sexual assault, section 3 to 10 of POCSO Act, and also included punishment for person in position of trust of authority like public servants, staff of educational institutions, police, etc. Notably, this law recognizes sexual harassment of a child which involves touch and also that which doesn't. Section 11 to 12 explain in that such as stalking, making a child expose themselves or exposing themselves to a child and so on. The POCSO Act also specifically lays down stringent punishment for exposing children to or using them to create child sexual abuse material, also referred to as a child pornography, under section 13, 14 and 15. While POCSO does not explicitly recognize grooming, expert says that section 11 of the Act can be interpreted to recognize and criminalize it, wherein grooming involves acts of establishing, building a relationship with a child, either in person or online, so as to facilitate either online or offline sexual contact with the child. Section 37B, subclause B of the Information Technology Act does criminalize it. The law lays down the procedures for reporting sexual crimes against children. Under section 19 of the Act, it is mandatory to report sexual crimes against children, including when there is an apprehension that an offence under the Act has been committed. The child protection law is also unique because it places the burden of proof on the accused, following guilty until proven innocent, unlike the IPC. Then the child-friendly procedure is mentioned in POCSO Act. Another hallmark of the POCSO Act was that it set up a procedure to make the criminal justice system child-friendly and prevent re-traumatization. This includes everything from how the statement of the child should be recorded to the medical examination to designation of special child-friendly courts. Under provisions of the POCSO Act, a child is entitled to the following. Number 1. Getting their statement recorded at their residence or a place of their choice and preferably by a woman police official or an official not below the sub-inspector rank in civilian clothes. The second one, the police officials should ensure that during the investigation, the child shouldn't come in contact with the accused. And number third, the child cannot be detained at the police station at night, and his or her identity should be protected from the public and media unless directed otherwise by a special court. Number four, it's a very most important, if the survivor is a girl, the medical examination should be done by a woman doctor, and the examination can only be done in the presence of a parent or a person the child trusts. If either of the two are there, then the examination should be done in the presence of the woman nominated by the head of the medical institution. The special courts stipulated under the POCSO Act are also to be child friendly. There are provisions such as making a child friendly atmosphere in the court premises by allowing a family member, a guardian, a friend, or a relative in whom the child has trust or confidence to be present, allowing frequent breaks for the child during the trial, and ensuring that the child does not have to face the accused during evidence collection as well as a cross examination. Based on the special court's discretion, proceedings can also happen in camera, that is, no one except those related to the case can be present in court and in presence of the child's parents or another adult he or she trusts. There are also provisions as well as guidelines if the case requires support from NGOs or social workers as well as an experts as like an psychologist, interpreters, and so on in the pre-trial and trial stages for the child, as well as guidelines for interviewing the survivor, including special needs children and children with disabilities. The another aspect is, when is POCSO used? Section of the POCSO Act may be added by the police in the first information report. We call it FIR. Then whenever a sexual offense is committed against a child, while special laws override the IPC. Sections of both are often mentioned in the FIR. For instance, an FIR would book an accused under section 376, that is rape, of the IPC as well as relevant sections of the POCSO Act. Punishment under POCSO are more stringent than under IPC. It is important to remember that POCSO is not just applicable in cases of physical sexual crimes, but also one that happen over the internet. This would include offences such as possessing CSAM, child sexual abuse material, CSAM, using children for the purposes of the creating CSAM, child sexual abuse material, or exposing children to pornography or CSAM. In such cases, POCSO may be used along with provisions of the Information Technology Act. This is the guideline what is POCSO and when it is used. Thank you for watching video. And if you are not subscribe my channel, then kindly please subscribe it. Thank you very much.